Make her feel like proud.
It's time to meet the Madrigal family, and more. Many of the performers dove into acting for the very first time with this movie, and tons of them recorded in isolation from all over the world. We're checking out 12 of the performers behind the voices of Encanto, one of the amazing Madrigals.
I'm the voice of Mirabel from Walt Disney Animation Studios' Encanto.
Stephanie Beatriz blows her performance out of the water, doing her Colombian father proud.
I'm part of the amazing Madrigal.
The actress has been on a roll, from playing Rosa Diaz in Brooklyn Nine-Nine to countless other projects she's been taking on, including plenty of time in the booth recording voices for Bob's Burgers. She did have her fair share of flubs in the booth for this one, though.
Let's do it again, please, thank you.
A lifelong lover of Disney, taking on this role was a literal dream come true.
I will save the miracle.
Now she can help inspire other people to believe that anything is possible.
I'm sure there's behind-the-scenes footage to show how much fun I was having.
Stephanie, yes!
Even though they worked together from a distance, Stephanie's performance still got Lin-Manuel Miranda right in the feels.
I don't know, I hope I did it justice.
Oh, no worries about that. Anyone that sees the movie knows that she absolutely did.
I found his last vision, the family's in trouble, the magic is dying, the house is breaking, Luisa's gift is fading, and I think it's all because of me.
Make way, Abuela is coming through. Disney is an American company, but that didn't mean Maria CECILIA Botero had to leave Colombia to do one of their movies. With the pandemic happening over the course of recording, the actress stayed in her home country working with the creative team on Zoom.
The miracle blessed each with a...
They may never have shared the room together, but that didn't stop Botero from having an amazing collaboration with the team. Even when she thought she was flubbing, she was nailing it.
I'm talking too fast.
No, that sounds great.
We know we don't talk about Bruno, but we gotta talk about Bruno. John Leguizamo is one of the busiest actors around, but a packed schedule wasn't gonna stop him from making room for Encanto. After all,
I made the sparkle.
his charm is like no other. The performance that comes through his character on screen really makes an impact, and from the looks of the booth footage, he didn't hold back a thing.
To make the candle bright, you have to embrace it. Embrace and embrace and embrace.
Any chance of some Bruno shorts coming at us in the future, Disney?
Hey, if you save the Encanto, come visit.
Need a sweet voice? Encanto has you covered. Valderrama is no stranger to voiceover or to Disney. He played Gaxton in Onward and is the Manny of Handy Manny.
You must be very excited.
He also happens to have been the face behind Fez in That 70s Show. This role meant the world to him, especially because his own mother is Colombian. This part was all heart.
She's right, Amor.
On screen or behind the mic, this actress works it. From Jane the Virgin to countless Spanish television shows and movies, the Colombian actress has made waves in the industry and really made her mark in the Disney world as Julieta.
What I think is that today was very hard for you.
Celebrating the premiere was super special since she was one of the many actors who recorded from their homes, never actually meeting everyone in person.
So happy because it's the first time that we meet. We didn't really get to know each other.
Number 6. She goes by Dolores in Encanto, but she's also known as the reggaeton princess.
Mirabel? She didn't get one.
While she's a successful singer, this is her first time diving into the acting business.
I just felt like a tiger, like I seized the moment.
Luckily, it happened because when she first sent in her audition tape, it went straight to spam.
The next morning, we hadn't heard back, and I was like, okay, maybe we should write something, and then...
Everything was sorted, but then tragedy struck when ADASSA found herself unable to move, struggling with some side effects from having COVID-19. But then, she got word that Disney wanted her to play Dolores. And the day she finally got to get to work, well, there was no holding back.
I was like, all right, like, give it to me. And then I just let it rip in one take, and he was like, we're done! And I was like, yes!
We have a feeling this won't be her last voiceover role.
That's like the cherry on top of a dream.
Hair tossed, check her nails, Isabella's ready. From Jane the Virgin to Orange is the New Black, Guerrero never fails to show just how wide her range is. She was embodying every single part of Isabela while recording her dialogue in the booth. When she got her chance to sing, well, she was just a little excited about it.
Been like waking up with the song and going to sleep with it.
Even when she wasn't performing the songs, she just couldn't stay away from bringing those musical vibes, making the movie that much better.
La 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 la. I don't know if you wanted me to sing.
One of the highlights for the American-Colombian actress was, of course, getting to work with Lin-Manuel Miranda, even if it was via screen.
Always make those questions into questions.
They didn't need to be together to bring the magic.
I just made something unexpected.
Number 8. She's feisty and she's fierce. She's Luisa with the super strength. Encanto marked the Cuban-American actress's very first voiceover role. While she recorded the whole thing remotely during the pandemic, she did get to spend some time in person with the creative team off the bat.
But I actually had the incredible opportunity to audition in person in LA right before the pandemic hit, which was pretty wild.
Her performance made Luisa a total standout in the movie, especially that glorious song of hers. Here's hoping we'll be hearing a lot more about this fab actress soon.
Sweet! Thank y'all, that was fun!
If you've ever been to Colombia, you've probably heard about this guy. Not just Félix of the Madrigals, but MAURO Castillo as well, since he's an extremely successful and popular singer, and actor, and trombonist. Talk about being multi-talented. He brought all the good vibes to the booth.
Casita! Casita! Casita!
It was a celebration during the making and the launch, especially after spending a very long time recording everything to get it just right.
We are working for like a year, maybe a year.
Make way, we've got a star coming through. Young as he may look, Juan Castano has already been working for over a decade, making a name for himself on screen in hit shows like Tales of the City and What If. He really made his first voiceover role count in Encanto, stealing every scene he's in and, very obviously, having a blast in that booth.
Last gift ceremony was a bummer.
What fun is bringing the 60th animated Disney movie to life without some joking around and laughter?
Hey, foul play, Casita. Yellow card, Casita, yellow card.
Need a charmer? Look no further. Maluma shot to fame as a singer with that oh-so-sweet voice of his, and the way he feels about the music of his country? Well, it just makes us adore him even more.
Colombian music is special because we do it with our heart, you know, we do it with love.
Considering how much fun he had and how much magic he brings to the movie, we wouldn't be surprised if he voices some more characters soon.
Hey, 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 hey.
She's a legend, no big deal. Rose Portillo has been acting since the 1970s. Starring in countless TV shows and films over the years, she gained a whole new group of fans from her performance as Senora Guzman.
There weren't problems with the Madrigal magic.
This was one stellar time. Making the majority of the film during a pandemic is no small feat either, but it didn't take away from the magic at all.
I can't just talk about myself. I'm only part of the amazing Madrigals.
A lot goes into making an animated film, but usually it isn't all done from home. We're going to take you behind the scenes of Encanto to see just how the amazing Madrigal world was created, comparing early shots to their finished product. Let's go talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
The best work trip ever. The crew actually traveled to Colombia for their research. They took inspiration from multiple locations, but specifically the Cocora Valley, one of the most beautiful places that Bruno actor John Leguizamo has ever been to. And naturally, it became the inspiration for the home of the amazing Madrigals.
We knew this is where the home of the Madrigal should be.
We mean this quite literally. A lot of layers go into bringing a scene to life. Here's just a few of the fun ones, like this one with the block people. Did you realize they were making an M? One animator who designed the block shot was working from home. So he also found himself using his bed sheets as a reference for the skirt motions. And we're not sure why some of these children have white eyebrows, but the blocky movement reminds us of when a video game character freezes and they just slide across the screen motionless. And the crowds are just as quirky in their early stages. They're just a little bit creepy to watch this way too, if you ask us.
Probably the most visually complex movie we've ever made.
The best animators are the best observers. Very early on, the discussion about what this story had to be was centered around family. This movie, it's about family and your role within your family.
The fate of the family, it's not up to her. It's up to you.
The sister that carries the world on her shoulders, the outcasted uncle. We can all relate to the Madrigals in some way. And part of this is because the writers really drew from experiences with their own families to get the movements just right. When you see the details in Abuela, know that the animator was studying his mom. When family was on the table, they landed on Colombia as the perfect place for their story because Colombia is an intersecting country of Latinx people.
We did everything there. We went to lots of cities and lots of towns in the more rural areas.
We're actually going to take a look at all the dance sequences we could find. Were you wondering how they got that incredible skirt work happening? Imagine how hard it would have been for the animators to block this scene if they didn't have a reference. We really shouldn't talk about this. The choreographer Jamal specifically asked for there to be Latinx dancers, as many Colombian and Latinx people that can accurately represent the movement. It's actually pretty incredible to watch how the choreography was incorporated into the final scenes. Part of it didn't end up being used at all, so it's a special look at what could have been and how picky and choosy you need to be with the shots in order to get the story across. Jamal Sims and Kai and the skeleton dancers really brought the song We Don't Talk About Bruno to life. The actors would do the whole dance in one take. It would be filmed twice, once in skirts and once in pants, so they could get the flow of the skirts, but also so they could get hip movement and not have it be obscured. All you had to do was just let it take you. See if you can spot any of the characters based on the dancer's moves alone. You can really see the light-footedness of the dancer portraying Dolores in the scene.
And there's so many people that are going to be influenced by this film, not just by the story you're telling, but by the inclusion of the diversity within it.
An unlikely group of people sharing something in common. Did you know that animators and dancers share a similar language?
And that language is nonsense.
They would speak via the sound of the rhythm, but not necessarily putting the technical words to it.
Bam, bam.
Communication among different mediums finds a way. We guess it makes sense they communicate in a similar way. They both work with bodies after all, just in different contexts.
Musical theater has this incredible tradition of telling story through song.
You can do a lot, apparently. You can really feel the larger-than-life characters and the joy just flowing out of the dancers in this piece. Cartoons often do things like defy the laws of gravity, so we were a bit surprised to see just how well they captured the character performance.
Just an incredible feeling, an incredible sense of accomplishment.
Whoever's idea it was to hire Lin-Manuel Miranda is a genius. The music legend, most notably known for the Broadway musical Hamilton before this, was brought on board to write the music for the movie. He was one of the crew who traveled to Colombia to immerse himself in the culture and get acquainted with the very specific sound of the music. It isn't common for a Disney movie to be written in 3/4 time, Miranda said. But this movie was an exception, given that time signature is incredibly important to Colombian rhythm. Working on a song with 12 very original and different actors, it inspired Miranda to find the pulse of each character and connect them with different kinds of Colombian music. Miranda also recorded himself singing every character's part for We Don't Talk About Bruno, and probably all of the other music too. He finds it the easiest way to get his intention across. Here's hoping Disney one day releases a full album. That would be amazing.
I just said, for the next one, can I just please be there from the beginning? I want to be as involved as I can be.
This is probably the biggest project ever done from home. All of the acting and all of the coaching actually happened over Zoom. And the actors worked out of their own home studios. Stephanie BEATRIZ, who plays Mirabel, admitted that she didn't find the process all that strange, because voice acting is usually pretty isolated anyways.
I'm part of the amazing Madrigals.
She's actually found herself closer to the director because he was right there on Zoom, rather than behind a glass panel. Lin-Manuel was a huge cheerleader for the actors. He's also incredibly patient, which is good for nervous singers. It was actually ADASSA's idea to make Dolores sing her lines an octave lower, just above a whisper in the song We Don't Talk About Bruno. That's just one element that all of that character development brought to the table: personalization.
I just felt like a tiger, like I seized the moment.
Imagine how much has to be in place before the animators can even start. It's always so cool to look back at the concept art because it ranges so wildly in character design and costume. You can see how the early art informs the final choices, but also why some things were cut. Like Mirabel was designed to be wearing heels at one point. Just imagine how much that would affect her movement in the movie. Taking out those high heels also would have knocked her down a peg, as high heels can present as very confident, something that she's not from the start.
Hopefully bring my best to Mirabel.
Casa Madrigal, Casita for short. The one limitation the crew were working with, designing the gorgeous Madrigal home, was that they wanted the house to be alive, but they didn't want it to bend to the elements in order to move. That choice really made this living house distinct from other living houses. And yes, there are more. Remember a movie called Monster House? That's just the first to come to mind. The house expresses most of its personality through its tile flipping and window panes. They went through a lot of concept art to get the house just right, which is fair. It's as much a character as the rest of the family.
The whole movie could essentially take place in this house, but it was limitless of what it could be.
We're about to start nitpicking, in a good way. Did you see how every single stitch in Mirabel's capybara patch is so detailed? It's absolutely incredible how far animation has come even in the past decade. Colombian folklore and personality hints were included in every one of their outfits. Even Mirabel's shoes are intricately detailed. But did you notice the outfits were all color-coded based on which part of the family tree you are? That was the idea of the costume designer, in order to help the audience keep the confusing family tree straight. So, there's a lot to be impressed about, and a lot to laugh at. What is so mind-blowing about Encanto is that the first time a lot of the cast and crew ever met each other in person was actually at the premiere of the movie. Do you think the premiere was awkward for the cast who'd only ever worked on Zoom, or do you think they were having a party?
To work with everybody, I think requires, especially for this movie, a lot of different points of view.
Encanto has plenty of deleted scenes that make a whole lot of sense and yet contain a whole lot of nonsense at the same time. And speaking of nonsense, we're also checking out the bloopers.
I just changed the whole movie for you.
Didn't know I could do that. Interesting.
We honestly have no idea what to make of this scene. In a very Rapunzel-esque moment, Isabela sneaks out her window and goes into the woods. Mirabel thinks she's been attacked by a wild animal, but as it turns out, it's just a man dressed like a big cat to scare off animals.
Most predators hunt by smell, which is why I covered it in the urine of several animals.
And then Isabela makes out with the costumed man named Bobo in front of her sister.
You saw nothing.
I wish I saw nothing.
This scene honestly just seems like a prank. But the two were planning to run away together, presumably because of all the pressure from Abuela. We're glad this scene was cut. As funny as it is, removing it made her plotline distinct from Dolores's.
I couldn't really put words to or a feeling to what I saw.
To love it all is to love entirely.
This was originally nearly the end of the movie when Mirabel, devastated, has left the family.
Originally, Mirabel was going to run much further than the river. She was going to run all the way back to the city her abuela ran away from, where she would encounter the new world.
Abuela sets out on her own.
She comes across a mural that says to love it all is to love entirely. She finds Mirabel sitting on a bench with nowhere to go and no idea what to do. It sounds like in this version, Julieta was injured pretty bad too.
I couldn't bear the thought of losing anyone else.
The whole thing seemed a bit sad, but we love the idea of returning to where you came from. It's never the same after you leave. And even if it is, it doesn't evoke the same feelings within you. While we absolutely loved the movie, it feels like we waited the entire movie for a big journey that never got past the river. Keeping the family away from modern-day advancements was probably a good call. What do you think?
I think that that's a testament to our directors and what they're able to do.
We wonder if Isabela could bring anything else to life, or if it was just potatoes. You heard that right. Similar to Elsa with Olaf, Isabela brought a little cluster of potatoes to life. We're unsure what their use would have been in the movie, but they sure are cute. They were cut very early in the process. For the Princess of Perfection, you'd expect living flowers like in Alice in Wonderland, not potato people. But who are we kidding? Potatoes are perfection. Why is it that Isabela had the weirdest cutscenes?
allowed myself to have this opportunity. You know, it's not easy to be here and to get here.
Honestly, you could never convince us that mopping is more fun than talking to jaguars. Mirabel gets stuck cleaning the house with her non-magical dad and uncle.
Hey, forget out there. This job in here is the most special.
We get a little peek of Dolores' room, but at this point in the story, she's the character who healed with food, not the mom. And Peppa doesn't control the weather. She has indestructible powers.
Still alive!
We kind of actually love the development of the fathers in this scene, because we've been wondering how it would feel to be these two married into a family of magical people. Their total devotion is heartwarming. And we learned that Bruno only got his name because Lin-Manuel Miranda came up with the lyrics to We Don't Talk About Bruno on the spot.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So his original name, Oscar, was dropped. Oh, also his room wasn't a sandy cave at first either.
His room turned all rotten and gross.
And sand doesn't rot, so we just put 2 and 2 together.
You just create a safe space for me to be as weird as possible.
Honestly, we would have loved to see this scene in the movie. Mirabel and Antonio were going to go on a jungle trip together to get into Bruno's room, as the original entrance was blocked. We felt Antonio pretty much got snuffed out of the movie after he got his powers. This deleted scene shows us exactly why we feel this way. But what we love about the cutscene is it gave us great perspective into how the rooms worked.
I think you have, like, the coolest room.
However, it created a much more mysterious feel to go through the sand, rather than take a different route through Antonio's room. But we are much happier with the way they set up Luisa's song in the end. Catch her before she cracks, not after. And also, Mirabel's prying added way more to the stakes of the scene.
Eventually, I'm gonna sing you a song right here. Yeah, that's right.
Luisa's a softie under the surface. Her room never wound up in the movie, but that's okay because we definitely got hints of it with the unicorn donkeys. Don't believe us? The concept art from Luisa's room showed that she might have had a secret door to escape the pressure of her family. While the obvious choice for a room was a gym, or one that was made purely out of stone, it's that secret gateway that led to a theme park that really piques our interest. Everybody needs an escape sometimes, right?
Oh, you're gonna make me drop a donkey.
They're playing a game of musical chairs with superpowers. The characters' powers bounced around the family a lot before they landed on who worked best with what. Peppa and a fire-powered character named Fuega merged with each other. There were twins named Amelia and Sophia. Amelia had an aura that made everyone fall in love with her. But her sister, Sophia, had an aura that repulsed everyone. Given we already have Bruno and Mirabel who feel unappreciated, it's probably good they didn't have a third outcast.
You see, you're missing the point. The fate of the family, it's not up to her. It's up to you.
There was also a guy whose personality may have merged with Camilo. That of the pool-playing trickster. Princesa has concept art similar to that of Isabela, so she didn't make it past the cutting room floor. There was also a character named Zoe who could speak with technology, but when she was sleeping, that technology didn't like to do its job. Miranda may have been an earlier version of Antonio, as she seems to be holding a rabbit. She may have been an early concept of Mirabel's mother. Giving Julieta the power of healing through food allowed for she and her daughter to bond in a special way.
I wish you could see yourself the way I do. You are perfect. Just like this.
Yes, the Madrigal family is much different in concept than what we saw on screen. Just goes to show how hard they worked at giving all of the characters a power that reflects their place in the family, but also their place in the storytelling. No two characters are alike in any way.
We were saved because of you.
And it's time for some bloopers. We're so used to Stephanie Beatriz playing Rosa, we can't get over how adorably charming she is. We were so distracted by that, we forgot to tell you, she's not saying the line as scripted.
When I save the miracle. When I save the miracle. When I save the miracle. After I save the miracle.
First gift ceremonies are so magical, you forget what to say.
First gifts ceremony. Ceremony.
It's nice to see that the actress behind Abuela can get a little silly.
The miracle blessed it with a... The miracle blessed it with a magic gift to help us.
Proof that voice acting is really acting, and maybe the biggest challenge since you're playing pretend all by yourself.
Casita! 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 Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I make the speckle. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I make the speckle.
Make the sparkle. You make. How did you do that?
If bathrooms had better soundproofing, voiceover actors would probably record from the toilet. No joke, they are constantly drinking water.
You guys need to go to the restroom, I know that as well.
I've been going to the bathroom this whole time.
That feel when your father doesn't know how to say your name.
Am I saying Mirabel or Mirabel? What am I saying? I forgot.
Am I fighting or hugging?
Help us out. Is this an acting choice, or is he warming up his face muscles?
To make the candle bright, you have to embrace it. Embrace and embrace and embrace and embrace and embrace.
Why so intense?
Coming, abuela! Coming, abuela!
Am I doing it?
Coming, abuela! Coming, abuela!
The answer is no. They weren't expecting you to sing, but we liked it anyway.
Please don't clap.
Thank you.
Oh, it's nothing. La 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 la. I don't know if you wanted me to sing.
He must have jinxed himself.
Knock, knock, knock. How about into the mic? That would be an interesting way of recording, wouldn't it? Knock, 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 knock on wood.
What does it mean? Is it why you came back, or?
We understand why these scenes didn't make the final cut.
Introduced audiences to this character who just so happens to be who he is.
But it was nice to get a glimpse into how the magic rooms work.
You got this.
He would say something terrible, and then boom!
It takes an army of animators to bring us our favorite movies. So it's no surprise that some mistakes happen. And we forgive the animators because it makes it more fun for us, the audience, to comb through and find them. We're sleuthing out the mistakes in Disney's latest animated movies, starting off with the charming Encanto. Number 1. If we remember correctly, Dolores isn't the shapeshifter. During the song We Don't Talk About Bruno, you may recall this little scene of the family dancing around Mirabel. But did you notice how the woman holding the dead fish dances off screen and suddenly Dolores is in her place? We definitely think this one was a mistake, because the fish woman is the only outsider in this scene, and then just disappears midway through. If it by chance wasn't a mistake, it's, at the very least, quite an odd artistic choice, don't you think?
We say nothing.
Number 2. The totally normal box of fun has more magical powers than anybody's letting on. The not-so-special that Mirabel is handed has the maracas facing her, which would make for a super awkward way to hold a basket full of thingamabobs. But in the next shot, the basket appears flipped around. Now the maracas are facing away from her.
Delivery! I gave you the special.
Number 3. Luisa's the strong one, not the teleporting one. The position of Luisa changes in this scene. She's obviously behind Camilo in one shot, and in the next is very much in front. Hey, maybe she's actually that shape-shifting kid in disguise. Wait, no, Camilo is the shape-shifting kid. Sorry, it's hard to keep them all straight. Maybe we need to re-listen to that song. What? Number 4. Babies are escape artists. In Raya and the Last Dragon, we don't remember Noi having the power of super speed, but somehow she managed to get from on top of Tuk Tuk to down beside Tong for when he picks her up, and we seriously doubt she made a sudden decision to jump. We'll forgive the animators, it's definitely a tender moment for Noi and Tong, and we would rather have it than not have it. We bet the animators noticed it and chose not to change it. It probably would have been a huge pain to reanimate Noi on the ground the entire scene leading up to the moment.
Noi. It's a name.
Number 5. There's nothing sadder than your ice cream suddenly disappearing on you. Unless, of course, you'd already dropped it on the ground, then who cares? Maybe a seagull snuck away with it, but there's no remnants of it ever existing, so we're guessing not.
Maybe I said it wrong?
Number 6. Do the fish people turn into fish on the insides when they drink water? We're just wondering. This animation concern is more a question of continuity than an animating mistake per se. How do the characters immediately turn human upon jumping out of the water while still wet? And in other shots, the boys struggle to turn back to being human and it takes forever for them to dry off. Do we really care? No. Not at all. Because the shots of Luca and Alberto jumping out of the water are fantastic, and the moments of almost being caught are obviously very important for the stakes of the movie and for our laughs. Number 7. Maybe the canvases are imbued with the same magic as Maui's tattoos. The canvas beside the Maui canvas is a 3-headed monster in one shot, but once the chief comes in and is tackled by children, it completely changes the next time we see it, and now depicts an island. We don't think our theory behind these canvases is completely impossible. What do you think? Simple mistake?
There are no monsters.
Number 8. Perhaps its tongue works like window blinders. Those things are a pain. The water monster has Moana almost entirely in his mouth in one shot, and the next, she's still completely out of it. You really can't blame this one on the angle. It's almost like the magic of cinema is what saved her.
You're no one's hero.
No one.
Number 9. If only our hair could be this cooperative for selfies. Grandma Tala's hair was over her right shoulder in one shot, and the very next draped across her back. Number 10. Only Encanto has these, thank you. At the end of the movie, when Miguel finally comes back to the land of the living, Ernesto's tomb is wide open, allowing him to leave. But the doors were closed and locked earlier in the movie, and the guitar is still left in the exact same position, so nobody has been inside since.
What are you doing with that?
Number 11. If they'd vanished for more than just a shot, that would really help our heroes along. The security guards disappear in a shot with Mama Imelda and Ernesto de la Cruz. Did you catch that? Although this doesn't feel so much like a continuity error, but more the creators just wanting to set up a very distinctive and beautiful shot with the bright colors framing our characters. If the security guards were in the background of the shot, we feel like it would just take away from the final product. What do you think? Number 12. Reindeers are stealthier than people. There's actually a bunch of continuity errors in Frozen 2. We imagine it comes with the territory of sequels. Here's the first of several. Sven, in the matter of a couple seconds, managed to completely sneak out of frame while the gang was chatting. Is nobody watching the reindeer? Do we really trust him to be left to his own devices?
That was magic. Did you see that?
Of course I saw it.
Number 13. How far back did they really get bounced? It didn't seem like more than a couple of feet. Okay, Kristoff just attempted to enter the spooky mist and got nowhere. So they're literally right there at the wall. But when Elsa touches the mist and it disperses, we get this big wide shot of the mist, Anna, and Elsa. And suddenly Kristoff is out of frame and has to walk like 20 feet to catch up with them. How does that make sense?
We do this together, okay?
Number 14. Which side of the sword is more dangerous? Anna is gripping the icicle sword as it faces towards her head, which seems just slightly more dangerous than running with scissors. Perhaps the animator who did the next shot realized this and didn't want her to be impaled and so reversed the sword. Or maybe the logic they used to justify it is that in the matter of seconds, the icicles melted and then refroze on the other side? Would you buy that with us? The movie is playing with the elements, so it's always a possibility. Number 15. To the left, to the left. Anna appears on the wrong side of Elsa in this shot, where the camera sneaks up from behind. Maybe Anna was just playing a game where she tapped on Elsa's shoulder and then snuck around her. We know it, you know it, not a mistake, just a prank, right? Okay, fine. The camera's flipped, the characters are flipped. It's gotta be hard to do some mental math for who goes where. We still hold our fingers up to figure out which way is left, so who are we to judge?
What's happening?
That's it.
Number 16. It would be weird if the dad was legs and just like an eighth of his stomach, right? It's debatable if this is really a mistake or not, but it is strange. We get a pretty good idea of what the dad's shirt looks like as he's brought back to life. But once he stumbles into the laundry, he comes back out just with glowing pants. Maybe it was some sort of snapback motion? Either way, we didn't see it, so we're calling it a mistake.
Hi, Dad.
Number 17. Markers, like Legos, appear out of nowhere. In this shot, it isn't here. In the next, it is. Remember those Crayola pipsqueak markers with the fun names like Small Potatoes? We bet it was that kind. They were the funnest. And we bet this one is called the Little Boy Blue. Think about it, it makes total sense. We've got the Little Boy Blue elf and the man on the moon, distant father who's passed away. Who's smart? We are. Number 18. Clean up on aisle 2. Disappearing soda isn't exactly as sad as disappearing ice cream, but still sad nonetheless. It's been dropped just outside the doorway in this shot, but once the bikes are knocked over, you can clearly see to the side that the soda is gone. Perhaps another magical creature handled the mess swiftly, but we seriously doubt it.
This one's lucky. I know it.
Number 19. If not the devil, maybe Barley's got some Spider-Man powers? That's a joke because Tom Holland voices Ian.
Okay. Sure.
Sorry, bad joke. Should have made a Star-Lord one instead. Barley's on top of the passenger seat and then suddenly is on Ian's shoulder. Brother, no brother, brother, no brother. The elf on his shoulder appears as fast as the devils and angels. Perhaps if no Spidey powers were being used, there was a poof we just didn't get to see. Number 20. Maybe Joe's real purpose is to be a magician. The things in Joe Gardner's hands switch around from one shot to the next. Originally, the pizza crust is on the right in one shot, and in the next, the bagel and spool of thread suddenly made their way to the right.
Wow, that's great.
We're quick to assume all of these moments are mistakes that the animators completely missed. But the truth is, animators only have so much time to finish a shot, and sometimes, perhaps continuity must be sacrificed in order to give us more Easter eggs or other special moments. Like that moment where Maui kicks a rock. That would have been a character choice made by that animator who probably didn't do the shot before it. Like, 7 seconds of animation is something like 168 frames. Imagine painting that many paintings.
Yeah, but what about Bruno? I mean,
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Encanto is all magic and mystery. From cut scenes and characters to COVID messing with the status quo, this movie endured a lot of changes to the script and creation process in order to get made. Let's take a look.
Let's dig a little deeper into what makes the music of Encanto sing.
A trope as old as time. In one plotline of the movie, due to Mirabel's mistakes, something bad happened to Mirabel's mom, Julieta.
I couldn't do it. And now my mom is...
We have our theories, as most of the Disney princesses are motherless for whatever reason, so we are really glad they didn't go this route. Such a huge corporation like Disney leaves so much room for improv. Stephanie Beatriz improvised a ton all throughout Encanto. Not just the comedy bits, but the darker things like the conversations with Abuela too. One line that 100% came from her own brain was in Bruno's room, after she was abandoned by Pico the toucan.
Nope, he flew away immediately.
But the improv king had to be actor-comedian John Leguizamo, who played Bruno, improvising the entire rat telenovela.
Their love could never be.
A little lesson from Casita. Watch where you pee. There's an after-credit scene where Antonio's capybara named Chipsy tries to take a leak on Casita, but the home strikes back. This scene was cut because the creators decided it wasn't the note they wanted to end the movie on. But personally, we think it's the perfect finale. What do you think? We don't talk about emo, mo. Bruno's name was Oscar before it was Bruno. When the team decided to change the name, in order to legally protect themselves, given there are a lot of Oscar Madrigals in Colombia, they gave Lin-Manuel Miranda the options of Arlo, Anko, Andre, Emo, Bruno, or Marco. He picked Bruno and rolled with it, and came up with the opening of We Don't Talk About Bruno almost instantly. We Don't Talk About Emo just doesn't hit the same way.
We had to create this really quirky, offbeat guy who had bad social skills, basically, and he has to hide away.
Isabella wasn't always your cliche Disney princess gone rogue. Just a couple drafts of Isabella included her as a punk rocker, and one where she runs away with her city-slicking, animal urine-wearing boyfriend Bubo. We highly recommend you check out the cutscene called Isabella Goes Into the Woods. It's so weird, we still struggle to believe this was a genuine plot at one point.
Bubo Marquez? Are you all right?
I am fine, mi amor.
Isabella could even bring vegetables to life like Elsa and Olaf at one point. Specifically potato people, we aren't sure if it was all vegetables. So there was a little family of potato people living with her. Between Bubo and potatoes, we're a little surprised her character's journey became what it did.
Is our only chance to be free.
We could use a whole other song about all of the cut characters. So many characters were cut or changed drastically from one draft to the next. A cut character named Zoe could communicate with machines. There were two twins who gave off the auras of compulsion and repulsion. There was originally a moody fire character named Fuega, which we can see being the inspiration for Peppa. Peppa's power was changed from indestructible to weather controlling because she was too similar to Luisa. And controlling the weather used to be Julieta's power. In an earlier draft, the default skin Camilo's hanging around in wasn't actually his true form. So when the magic died, he lost his power and nobody recognized him, which is super sad. This was eventually cut because it took too much attention off of Mirabel.
Yeah, I did the whole thing. So it's extremely special to me.
The show-stopping number got summarized in half the time. The song All of You was originally going to be 7 minutes long. It's already a fantastical song that combines Surface Pressure, What Else Can I Do, and We Don't Talk About Bruno. A very Broadway thing to do. But originally, it also contained more of the villagers, and Abuela offering some clarity on why she did what she did, singing, I was so afraid of losing what we've made, focused on the dark instead of letting in the light. I lost your father far too soon. I couldn't bear to lose you too. The miracle is not some magic we forgot. The miracle is you. Not some gift, just you. We don't need any excuses, Abuela. Kidding. But we feel like her heart-to-heart at the river with Mirabel was enough. This cut is totally understandable.
I thought we would have a different life. I thought I would be a different woman.
Stephanie BEATRIZ was waiting on a miracle much larger than Mirabel's. She was over 9 months pregnant when she recorded the song Waiting on a Miracle, and she had the baby just 48 hours later. In the booth, she had to do whatever she had to do to be able to get those high notes out, which generally included putting her hands over her head, and she even did a bunch of squats. What can she say except you're welcome? For her audition, Stephanie BEATRIZ originally had to sing that fun, catchy tune from Moana, sung by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The best part was that somebody animated it.
Let me say, you're welcome.
Fight, fight, fight! You know what? This was probably not an entirely appropriate thing for a family movie, but in an earlier version of the film, Isabela and Mirabel actually got into a physical fight, and apparently, it was hilarious. We're sad we missed it, but it's probably for the best. This budget isn't for belly button piercings. Encanto seriously had a belly button budget dedicated solely to having the one minor character's gut pop on screen. Giving side characters belly buttons is a big deal. They're rarely ever animated on minor characters, unless it's maybe a beach scene, but the crew totally found the work worth it to give the donkey delivery guy his gut. By the way, that was his name in the script for a while.
Oh, and tell Antonio good luck. Last gift ceremony was a bummer.
While we're on the topic of names, the woman with the dead fish, her name was Señora Pez Muerto, which translates to Mrs. Deadfish. We guess naming minor characters based on their minor roles makes a lot of sense for keeping them all organized. And it's also much nicer than calling them background number 1 and background number 2, but in this instance, maybe they should have stuck with that.
Just act normal. No one has to know.
It takes a village to create a character. Who's to say the voice actors are the only ones acting? Animators are also actors. And during a time of COVID, their reference videos were done in their houses. We appreciate the dude who went to the extent of using his bed sheets as skirt references. The residuals must be nice when you're trilingual. Angie Cepeda, who plays Julieta, is the only actor to voice her character in 3 different languages: English, Spanish, and Italian.
I healed your hand with my love for my daughter.
The crew was seriously racing against the clock to finish Encanto. They were working on the movie basically up until the moment it had its premiere. They technically wrapped production a month before its release, but they were still making minor adjustments after that. When we think of the best apology songs, we instantly think Taylor Swift, not Lin-Manuel Miranda. Miranda based the song Surface Pressure on his sister. It's his love letter and his apology to her, as she was the eldest sister in the family, and definitely felt some of that pressure. Miranda's mouth clicks he recorded for the scratch track made it into Surface Pressure too. It's such a simple and nice little touch.
Reggaeton song called Surface Pressure, and it was about how she's very cool on the surface and there's nothing she can handle.
Turns out the Madrigal Casita is full of secrets. It took some work for the team to come up with what they wanted Luisa's room to look like. They had a dull stone room to represent her strength, which ended up lending itself to Bruno's room. And it was set on a beach at one point. But the best idea was that she had a secret room inside of her room that was an amusement park to de-stress a bit. We kind of feel bad for Mirabel though, who didn't even get a single magic room, let alone 2.
What? No! Hold on!
While it's cool to know you can do voice acting from home, the cast all had to record in their homes. While they got most of the characters sounding the same, we're pretty sure we caught a couple lines where Isabela sounds like she's in a different room.
If you weren't always trying too hard, you wouldn't be in the way. Actually, Isa.
Did you hear it, or are we paranoid? Now that we think about it, she could have just been leaning into the mic. Before COVID, whenever possible, voice actors would do ensemble recordings in an actual studio. Most of them didn't even meet until the first screening. How crazy is that?
See myself be a part of something so monumental, just an incredible feeling, you know.
Reverse Psychola choreography. Choreography is usually done after the scene layout is complete. Since the choreographer was brought in before the layout's completion, it meant the dancers had more influence over the shots of the film. Because the method was so successful, we wonder if the industry will follow in Encanto's footsteps from now on. Disney comes with all the perks. Stephanie BEATRIZ worked with vocal coach Eric Vitro.
He's incredible. He's really, really gifted.
He's been the coach to Ariana Grande, Camila Cabello, and Shawn Mendes, to name a few. Encanto will forevermore hold a special place in our hearts. It's by far one of Disney's best films in a long time. And if you believe in magic, believe in this. 2 years before Stephanie BEATRIZ was even hired to voice the role, Mirabel's name was Beatriz. Is that not fate or what? Are there any other movie-making secrets we should have included in the video? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for joining us here at The Things.